Tanya sat cross-legged on the cold tile of her dorm bathroom, the pregnancy test trembling in her hand. 2 blue lines stared back at her, unblinking, undeniable. Her heart thudded so loudly she swore it echoed off the walls. At 22, she was in her final year at Crestwood University, her future mapped out, a teaching credential, a job offer from a local elementary school, a life she'd clawed her way toward after growing up in a cramped apartment with a single mom. This wasn't part of the plan. She glanced at her phone. 11:47 p.m. Craig would still be up, probably charming his frat brothers at some late-night party. Her boyfriend of 2 years, with his easy smile and knack for making everyone love him, was the last person she'd expected to dread telling. But as she dialed his number, her stomach twisted. "Yo, T, what's up?" Craig's voice was loud, slurred with the buzz of cheap beer and laughter in the background. "Craig, I need to talk. Can you come over?" Tanya's voice was steady, but her grip on the phone wasn't. "Now, I'm kinda in the middle of something." A girl's giggle cut through the line, sharp as a blade. "It's important," she said, swallowing the lump in her throat. He sighed, dramatic. "Fine. Gimme 20. When Craig arrived, he leaned against her doorframe, his Letterman jacket slung over one shoulder, his dark hair mussed in that effortlessly perfect way. "What's the emergency, babe?" Tanya held up the test. The air in the room seemed to vanish. Craig's eyes widened, then narrowed, his jaw tightening. "Is this a joke?" "No," she said softly. "I took 3. They're all positive." He paced, running a hand through his hair. This can't happen, Tanya. I'm graduating. I've got interviews lined up. Big firms, you know that. A kid. That's a death sentence." Tanya flinched but stood her ground. "It's happening, Craig. I'm not asking you to fix it. I just need to know you're with me." He stopped pacing, his face hardening. "With you? Tanya, this'll ruin everything. My dad's already on my case about image. You think I can walk into a corporate office with a baby on my hip?" Her chest tightened. "So what? You want me to just make it go away?" He didn't answer, but his silence screamed louder than words. He grabbed his jacket. "I need to think. I'll call you tomorrow." "Craig," she started, but the door slammed shut behind him. Tanya sank onto her bed, the test still in her hand. She stared at the lines until they blurred through tears. She wasn't ready either, but the thought of her child, already felt like a promise she couldn't break. She whispered to the empty room, "I'll figure it out. I always do." The next morning, Tanya woke to a text from Craig, "Meet me at the quad. Noon." Her heart lifted, then sank. His tone was cold, clipped, nothing like the playful messages he used to send. She pulled on her favorite sweater, hoping its softness would armor her against whatever came next. The quad was alive with students tossing frisbees and laughing under the autumn sun. Craig sat on a bench, his posture rigid, his eyes scanning the crowd like he was afraid of being seen. Tanya approached, her hands stuffed in her pockets. "So?" she said, sitting beside him. Craig didn't look at her. "I thought about it. You can't keep it, Tanya. It's not just about us, it's my future. My family's expectations. You know how my dad is. Your dad." She laughed bitterly. "This is about us, Craig. Our baby." He turned to her, his eyes cold. "There is no our. You do this, you're on your own. I'm not ready to be a dad, and I'm not gonna let this mess up my life." Tanya's breath caught. "Mess? This is a baby, not a mistake." "You're being naive," he snapped. "You think you can just... what? Raise a kid and finish school? Get real. You'll be stuck, and I'm not going down with you." She stood, her voice shaking but firm. "Then go. But don't you dare come back when you realize what you're throwing away." Craig stood too, his face a mask of anger and fear. "Fine. You want to play martyr? Have fun." He walked away, blending into the crowd, his shoulders squared like he'd just won something. That night, Tanya scrolled through Instagram. Craig's story was already up, him laughing at a bar, a brunette draped over his shoulder, captioned "Living my best life." Her finger hovered over the block button. She pressed it. Her phone hit the pillow, and she curled into herself, whispering, "You don't get to break us." The next day, she went to class, her notebook filled with plans. Budgets, daycare options, scholarship applications. Craig's absence was a wound, but she'd stitch it herself. She always had. Tanya sat in the back of Professor Eloise's education seminar, her mind a fog. She hadn't slept properly in days, and the weight of Craig's betrayal pressed harder than the pregnancy itself. Eloise, a sharp-eyed woman in her 50s with a voice like warm honey, noticed. After class, she called Tanya over. "You've been quiet, Tanya. What's going on?" Eloise's eyes were kind but piercing. Tanya hesitated, then blurted, "I'm pregnant. And alone." Eloise didn't flinch. She leaned back, folding her arms. "That's a lot. But you're still here, taking notes. That says something." Tanya's eyes stung. "I don't know if I can do this. School, a baby, no support." Eloise raised a hand. "You don't have to know. You just have to keep showing up. Strength isn't loud, Tanya. It's stubborn." She pulled out a notepad and scribbled something, then slid it across the desk. "This is my number. And a job offer, tutoring in the education department. Flexible hours, decent pay. It's yours if you want it." Tanya stared at the paper, her throat tight. "Why are you helping me?" "Because I was you once," Eloise said softly. "No ring, no partner, just a kid and a dream. You're not alone unless you choose to be." That night, Tanya sat in her dorm, the letter from Eloise pinned to her corkboard. She dialed the number. "Professor? It's Tanya. I'm in." "Good," Eloise said, her smile audible. "Now, get some rest. You're building a life, too, actually." Tanya hung up and started packing. Her dorm was too expensive now. She found a studio apartment online. Tiny, damp, but hers. As she taped up boxes, she talked to her belly. "We're gonna be okay, little one. We've got people in our corner." 9 months later, Tanya lay in a hospital bed, her body screaming through contractions. The room was sterile, the beeping monitors her only company. She'd hoped her mom could make it, but a delayed flight left Tanya alone. She gripped the bed rail, breathing through the pain, whispering, "We're almost there." A nurse, a kind woman named Rosa, squeezed her hand. "You're doing great, honey. Strongest mom I've seen all week." Tanya managed a weak laugh. "Feels like I'm breaking." "You're building," Rosa said. "That's what mamas do." After 23 hours, Micah arrived, a small, perfect boy with wide eyes and a tiny cry. Tanya held him, her tears mixing with sweat. "You don't need anyone who leaves," she whispered. "I got you." Back at her studio, she posted a photo on Instagram. Micah's tiny hand in hers, captioned "Welcome, Micah. I got you." Her phone buzzed endlessly. Likes, comments, shares. By morning, the post had gone viral. Strangers leaving messages like "You're a warrior" and "Micah's lucky to have you." Tanya smiled, but her heart ached. Craig had blocked her weeks ago. His family hadn't called. She was a ghost to them. She rocked Micah, humming a lullaby her mom used to sing. "We don't need their permission to be a family," she told him. His tiny fingers curled around hers, and for the first time in months, she felt whole. Micah was 3, his curls bouncing as he ran through the tiny studio, chasing a toy truck. Tanya watched from the kitchen, stirring mac and cheese, her textbooks open on the counter. She was halfway through her teaching credential, juggling night classes and a part-time job Eloise had secured. Micah stopped, his brown eyes serious. "Mama, where's my daddy?" Tanya froze, the spoon still in her hand. She'd rehearsed this moment, but it still hit like a punch. She knelt beside him. "Your daddy. He left before you were born." But not because of you, baby. He just wasn't ready. Micah tilted his head. Will he come back? Tanya's heart cracked. I don't know, sweetheart. But you've got me, and I'm never leaving. He nodded, wise in a way that made her ache. Okay, Mama. That night, Tanya pulled a shoebox from her closet. Inside was a photo of her and Craig, laughing at a college bonfire. She hadn't looked at it in years. She tucked it deeper in the box, deciding Micah deserved the truth someday, but not yet. He deserved to be a kid first. She sat at her laptop, typing a journal entry. Micah asked about Craig today. I told him the truth, or as much as he can carry. He's stronger than I was at his age. Maybe because I'm carrying the rest for him. She closed the laptop and checked on Micah, asleep with his truck clutched tight. You're enough, she whispered, kissing his forehead. We're enough. Tanya pushed a creaky cart through the bustling supermarket, Micah perched in the seat, swinging his legs. At 4 years old, he was a chatterbox, pointing at colorful cereal boxes. Mama, can we get the one with the tiger? His brown eyes sparkled with hope. Tanya laughed, ruffling his curls. Only if you eat your veggies first, deal? Deal, he giggled, clutching a box of Cheerios like a trophy. As they rounded the aisle, Tanya's heart stopped. Craig stood there, holding a basket, his arm around a tall brunette in a sleek sundress. He hadn't changed much, same sharp jaw, same confident slouch. But his eyes widened when they met hers, recognition hitting like a shockwave. Micah, oblivious, waved at the couple. Hi, he chirped, his smile bright. Craig froze, his gaze darting from Micah to Tanya. The brunette frowned, nudging him. Babe, you know them? Yeah, Craig stammered, his voice tight. Old friend from college. Tanya's stomach churned, but she forced a smile for Micah's sake. Just grabbing groceries, she said, her tone clipped. Come on, buddy, let's find the apples. Craig stepped forward, his voice low. Tanya, can we talk? Just for a sec. She glanced at Micah, who was now engrossed in a cereal box. 1 minute, she said, steering the cart a few feet away. What do you want, Craig? He shifted, uneasy. I didn't expect. He looks like me. Tanya's jaw tightened. Don't do that. You don't get to claim him now. I'm not. Craig ran a hand through his hair. How are you guys doing? We're fine, she said, her voice steel. No thanks to you. The brunette called out, Craig, we're gonna be late. He glanced back, then at Tanya, his face a mix of guilt and defiance. Without another word, he turned and walked away, his arm around his fiancée. Tanya gripped the cart, her knuckles white. Micah tugged her sleeve. Mama, who was that man? Just someone I used to know, she said, forcing a smile. Let's get those apples. That night, Tanya sat at her tiny kitchen table, journaling. Saw Craig today. He looked at Micah like he was a ghost. I held it together, but it hurts. Not for me, for what Micah doesn't even know he's missing. She closed the notebook, her resolve hardening. Closure wasn't a conversation. It was moving forward. Tanya's phone buzzed as she tucked Micah into bed. An unknown number. She answered cautiously. Hello. Is this Tanya? The voice was gruff, older. This is Levi, Craig's father. Her heart skipped. She stepped into the hall, closing Micah's door. What do you want, Mr. Levi? He cleared his throat. I want to meet my grandson. I didn't know about him until recently. Craig, he never told us. Tanya's grip tightened on the phone. You didn't know because he chose that. Why now? I'm not my son, Levi said, his voice softer. I made mistakes with him, pushed him too hard. I don't want to miss this too. She hesitated. Micah deserved family, even if it was complicated. One meeting, she said. For Micah, not you. The next weekend, Levi arrived at the park, a tall man with graying hair and a nervous smile. He carried a small box. Micah, holding Tanya's hand, eyed him curiously. "Are you my grandpa?" Levi knelt, his eyes softening. "I am, Micah. I brought you something." He opened the box, revealing an old pocket watch, its face etched with intricate designs. "This was my dad's. I want you to have it." Micah's eyes widened. "It's shiny." He turned to Tanya. "Can I keep it, Mama?" She nodded, her throat tight. "Say thank you, buddy." "Thank you." Micah beamed, clutching the watch. Levi looked at Tanya. "I'm sorry for what Craig did. I didn't raise him to run." "Then why did he?" she asked, her voice low so Micah wouldn't hear. Levi sighed. "I pushed image over everything. Success, status. He learned it too well." Tanya watched Micah run to the swings, the watch in his pocket. "He's not Craig," she said. "And I'm not raising him to be." Levi nodded. "You're doing right by him. I just want a chance to try." She didn't promise more, but as they left, Micah waved at Levi, and Tanya felt a crack in the wall she'd built. Maybe family could be rebuilt, piece by piece. Tanya stood in the classroom, her hands chalk-dusted, facing a group of fifth graders who'd rather throw pencils than listen. Her new job at Micah's elementary school was a lifeline, but these kids, labeled troubled by the system, tested her daily. Today, one boy, Jaden, refused to sit. "Miss Tanya, this is dumb," Jaden said, arms crossed. "Why do we gotta read this boring book?" She knelt beside him, keeping her voice calm. "What's boring about it?" "It's all words, no action," he huffed. "Okay," she said, smiling. "What if we act it out? You be the hero." Jaden's eyes lit up. "For real. For real." She turned to the class. "Who's in?" The room erupted in cheers. By the end of the period, they were laughing, staging a dramatic scene from the book. Tanya felt alive, her purpose clicking into place. After school, Principal Diane called her to the office. Tanya braced herself, expecting a complaint. Instead, Diane smiled. "You're a natural, Tanya. Those kids haven't engaged like that all year." Tanya blushed. "I just listened to them." "That's more than most do," Diane said, sliding a folder across her desk. "This is a scholarship application for a master's in education. I want you to apply." Tanya's breath caught. I can't afford grad school." "You can with this," Diane said. "It covers tuition and a stipend. You're the kind of teacher we need." That night, Tanya sat with Micah, helping him with his spelling. "Mama, you're a superhero at school," he said, grinning. She laughed, hugging him. "Only because I've got you, kid." Later, she opened the application, her hands shaking. "This is the yes I didn't expect," she whispered, tears falling. For the first time, the future felt bigger than the past. Micah, now 6, sat at the kitchen table, drawing a rocket ship. Tanya chopped vegetables for dinner, the rhythm of the knife steadying her. Out of nowhere, Micah looked up, his pencil still. "Mama, did my dad ever love me?" The knife slipped, nicking her finger. She winced, grabbing a paper towel. "Oh, buddy," she said, sitting beside him. "That's a big question." He nodded, his eyes serious. "I just wanna know." Tanya took a deep breath, choosing her words like stepping stones. "Your dad. He wasn't ready to be a dad. That's not about you. He didn't know how to love you the way you deserve." Micah frowned, processing. "But he made me, right?" "Yeah," she said softly. "But love isn't just making someone. It's showing up, every day." He couldn't do that. Micah drew a line on his paper, slow and deliberate. "Will he ever learn?" Tanya's heart ached. "I hope so, baby. For his sake." He nodded, then slid a note across the table. "I hope he learns one day," it read in his wobbly handwriting. Tanya tucked it into her wallet, next to a grocery list and a photo of them at the beach. "You're too good, Micah," she said, kissing his forehead. Later, she called Eloise. "He asked about Craig today," Tanya said, her voice low. "I didn't know it'd hit this hard." Eloise's voice was warm. "Kids see the world clearer than we do. He's not asking for Craig, he's asking for you to keep being you." Tanya hung up, staring at Micah's note. His forgiveness was a weight she wasn't ready to carry, but it anchored her all the same. Tanya stood in front of a local news crew, her palms sweaty. The school's community outreach program, her brainchild, had caught attention. A reporter thrust a microphone forward. "Tanya, tell us how you turned this class around." She smiled, nervous but steady. "It's about listening. These kids aren't troubled, they're unheard. Give them a voice, and they shine." Micah stood in the background, waving at the camera, his grin wide. The segment aired that night, spreading across social media. "Local teacher transforms lives," read the headline. Tanya's phone buzzed with messages from strangers. "You're an inspiration." Across town, Craig sat on his couch, his fiancée, Lauren, scrolling beside him. The news clip popped up on her feed. "Wait," she said, pausing. "Isn't that your ex?" Craig's jaw tightened. He grabbed the phone, watching as Tanya spoke with quiet fire, Micah beaming behind her. "Yeah," he muttered, his voice hollow. Lauren frowned. "That's your son, isn't it? Wow, he's grown." Craig didn't answer. He replayed the clip, Micah's face burning into him. Tall, kind-eyed, a mirror of his own childhood photos. Lauren touched his arm. "You okay?" He shrugged, but his eyes stayed glued to the screen. That night, alone, he watched it again, the sound off. Micah's wave looped in his mind. A silent accusation. For the first time, he didn't look away. Tanya was grading papers at her cluttered kitchen table when a knock came at the door. Micah, now 6, was sprawled on the floor, building a Lego spaceship. She opened the door to find Craig standing there, his tailored suit out of place in her modest apartment complex. Her stomach twisted, the memory of their last encounter, a fleeting grocery store moment, still raw. "What are you doing here?" Tanya asked, her voice low to keep Micah from hearing. Craig shifted, his eyes avoiding hers. "I saw the news clip. Micah, he's amazing. I want to be on his school file, you know, as his dad." Tanya's jaw tightened. She stepped onto the porch, closing the door behind her. "You don't get to just show up, Craig. 6 years, and now you want a title." He rubbed his neck, his confidence fraying. "I messed up, okay? I'm trying to fix it. I have rights, Tanya." "Rights?" She laughed, sharp and bitter. "You had 6 years to be a father. You chose to walk away. Micah's not a checkbox for your conscience." Craig's face hardened. "I'm not asking. I'll go legal if I have to." Tanya stepped closer, her voice steel. "You don't get to choose fatherhood when it's convenient. We're not your side quest, Craig. Go ahead, take me to court. I've got receipts, every text, every missed birthday, every time you blocked me." He flinched but held her gaze. "I'm not the same guy I was." "Prove it somewhere else," she said, turning back to the door. "Micah deserves better than your promises." Inside, Micah looked up. "Who was that, Mama?" "Just someone selling something we don't need," she said, forcing a smile. Her hands shook as she sat down, her mind racing. Craig's threat hung heavy, but she wouldn't let him unravel what she'd built. She pulled Micah close, whispering, "You're my whole world, kid." The courtroom smelled of polished wood and stale coffee. Tanya sat rigid, her hands clasped in her lap, as Craig's lawyer argued for visitation rights. Micah was at school, unaware, but Tanya felt his absence like a weight. She'd hired a lawyer with her savings, a woman named Ms. Carter who'd promised to fight for Micah's peace. Craig sat across the room, his suit crisp, his fiancée absent. He kept his eyes down, avoiding Tanya's glare. Her lawyer presented a folder, Texts, emails, screenshots of Craig's social media flaunting his best life, while Tanya raised Micah alone. Ms. Carter's voice was steady. My client has been the sole caregiver for 6 years. Mr. Thompson abandoned all responsibility, emotionally and financially. He's had no contact until now, prompted by a news clip, not a genuine desire to parent. Craig's lawyer countered, my client acknowledges past mistakes but seeks to build a relationship with his son. The judge, a stern woman with gray streaks in her hair, leaned forward. Ms. Johnson, what does Micah know about his father? Tanya took a breath. He knows Craig left before he was born. He's asked why, and I've been honest, he wasn't ready. Micah's happy, stable. I don't want that disrupted. The judge nodded, turning to Craig. Mr. Thompson, why now? Craig cleared his throat, his voice shaky. I saw him on TV. He's my kid. I want to know him. I'm ready now. Tanya's chest tightened. The judge ruled, supervised visits, 1 hour a week. For the child's sake, she said, we'll proceed cautiously. Outside, Tanya leaned against her car, tears spilling. Ms. Carter touched her arm. You did good in there. This is controlled, on your terms. It doesn't feel like it, Tanya whispered. I wanted closure, not this. That night, she told Micah, keeping it simple. Your dad wants to meet you. It'll be short, and I'll be there. You okay with that? Micah nodded, his eyes serious. I don't know him, Mama. But I'll try. Tanya hugged him, her heart torn between pride and fear. The first supervised visit was at a community center, a sterile room with plastic chairs and a ticking clock. Tanya sat in the corner, her eyes on Micah, who clutched a toy car. Craig arrived late, his smile forced. The supervisor, a calm woman named Ms. Lee, explained the rules. No raised voices, no pressure. Craig knelt by Micah. Hey, buddy. I'm your dad. Micah looked at him, his face blank. Okay. Craig fumbled, pulling out a toy truck. Thought you might like this. Micah took it politely but didn't play. Thanks, he said, glancing at Tanya. The hour dragged. Craig tried small talk, sports, cartoons, but Micah answered in monosyllables. Tanya's heart ached. Her son was protecting himself, just as she'd taught him. The next visit was worse. Micah forgot his snack, and Craig panicked, yelling at Ms. Lee, Why isn't there food here? Micah flinched, retreating to Tanya's side. Craig, calm down, Tanya said, her voice low but firm. He spun on her. I'm trying, okay? This is hard. It's not about you, she snapped. Look at him. You're scaring him. Ms. Lee stepped in. Mr. Thompson, this isn't working. I'm ending the visit. Craig's face crumpled, but he left without a fight. In the car, Micah was quiet. Mama, do I have to go back? Tanya's throat tightened. We'll talk to Ms. Lee. You don't have to do anything that feels wrong. That night, she called Ms. Lee. He's not ready, Tanya said. This isn't healing, it's hurting him. Ms. Lee agreed. I'll report it. Craig needs to prove he can handle this. Tanya hung up, exhaustion settling in. She looked at Micah, asleep with his toy car. She'd fight for his peace, no matter what. Tanya was wiping down tables at the school cafeteria when a familiar voice called her name. She turned to see Andre, her childhood friend, leaning against the doorframe, his lanky frame unchanged but his smile warmer. He'd moved away years ago, but now he was back, a graphic designer with a quiet confidence. Andre. Tanya grinned, tossing her rag aside. When did you get back? Last week, he said, hugging her. Heard you're the superhero of this school. She laughed, brushing off the compliment. Just surviving. Micah ran in, his backpack bouncing. Mama, I got an A. He stopped, eyeing Andre. Who's this? This is Andre, my old friend, Tanya said. Andre, Meet Micah. Andre knelt, offering a fist bump. Nice to meet you, man. That A's a big deal. Micah grinned, bumping his fist. You like spaceships? Love 'em, Andre said. Wanna show me yours? Micah dragged him to a table, pulling out a drawing. Tanya watched, her heart lifting. Andre didn't promise anything. He just showed up, listening to Micah's chatter with genuine interest. Later, over coffee at a diner, Tanya caught Andre up. Craig's back, trying to play dad. It's a mess. Andre leaned forward, his eyes steady. You don't have to do this alone, T. I'm here now. Not saying you need me, just saying I'm not going anywhere. She smiled, her guard softening. You always knew how to show up. That night, Micah drew a picture of him, Tanya, and Andre flying in a spaceship. He's cool, Mama, he said. Tanya tucked the drawing away, feeling something new. Hope, maybe, that family could be more than blood. Career day at school was chaotic, kids buzzing with excitement. Micah had begged Andre to speak, and Tanya watched from the back as he stood at the front of the classroom, his voice calm but commanding. A man isn't who creates a child, Andre said, his eyes on the kids but lingering on Micah. He's the one who shows up every day, no matter what. It's not about being perfect, it's about being there. Micah beamed, his chest puffed out. Tanya's eyes stung. Andre's words were for her son, but they hit her too. The class clapped, and Micah ran to Andre, hugging him. You did good, Tanya whispered as they left the room. Andre grinned. Kid makes it easy. Across town, Craig scrolled through his phone, landing on the school's Instagram. Photos of career day showed Micah and Andre, captioned Real Heroes Show Up. His stomach sank. He clicked on Tanya's profile, now public from the news clip. Pictures of Micah's drawings, Tanya's classroom, their life, without him. He felt the hole he'd dug, deeper than ever. That night, Tanya and Micah baked cookies, flour dusting their noses. Andre's my friend, Micah said, licking a spoon. He's not like that other guy. Tanya paused, her heart full. Yeah, buddy. Andre's one of the good ones. She tucked Micah in, his career day badge pinned to his board. As she closed his door, she whispered, We're building something real. For the first time, Craig's shadow felt smaller than her light. Tanya was washing dishes in her cramped kitchen, the radio humming softly, when her phone buzzed with a voicemail notification. The number was Craig's. Her heart thudded, a mix of dread and curiosity. She dried her hands, glancing at Micah, who was coloring at the table, oblivious to the storm brewing in her chest. She stepped onto the balcony, the cool night air steadying her, and played the message. Craig's voice was shaky, raw. Tanya, it's me. I messed up. I was scared back then, okay? Scared of my dad, of failing, of everything. I thought walking away was easier, but it wasn't. I punished you and Micah for my own crap. I'm sorry. I don't know how to fix it, but I want to try. The message cut off abruptly, like he'd lost his nerve. Tanya stared at her phone, her breath shallow. Part of her wanted to call back, to scream, to demand why now. But she didn't. She let the silence sit, heavy and deliberate, the way his absence had for 6 years. Micah poked his head out. Mama, you okay? She forced a smile, tucking her phone away. Yeah, buddy. Just thinking. He tilted his head, wise beyond his years. About that man? Tanya knelt, brushing a curl from his forehead. You don't miss much, do you? It was your dad. He's trying to say sorry. Micah frowned, clutching his crayon. Does he mean it? I don't know, she admitted. But you don't have to carry that. That's on him. He nodded, returning to his coloring. Tanya sat beside him, her mind racing. She pulled out her journal, writing, Craig called. He's breaking, but I'm not his glue. Micah's my focus. Always will be. She closed the book, feeling the weight of his words but refusing to let them pull her back. Across town, Craig sat in his darkened apartment, his fiancée, Lauren, asleep in the next room. He replayed the voicemail he'd sent, wincing at his own voice. He opened his laptop, scrolling through Tanya's social media again. Micah's drawings, their beach trips, a life he'd opted out of. His finger hovered over the call button, but he didn't press it. Silence was his lesson now. A week later, Craig showed up at Tanya's apartment, a folded letter in his hand. She opened the door, her face a mask of caution. Micah was at a friend's house, and the quiet felt fragile, like it could shatter with one wrong word. "I don't want to fight," Craig said, raising his hands. I wrote this for Micah. Can I read it to him?" Tanya crossed her arms. "He's not here. And you don't get to decide when you're ready to be his dad." Craig nodded, his eyes red-rimmed. "I know. I just need him to hear this. Please." She hesitated, then stepped aside. "Read it to me first." They sat at the kitchen table, the letter between them. Craig's hands shook as he unfolded it. "Micah," he began, his voice cracking. "I'm your dad, but I haven't been. I didn't know how to be a dad, and I was scared. I missed everything that matters. Your first steps, your first words, you. I'm sorry. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I want you to know I see you now, and I'm trying to be better." Tanya's throat tightened, but she kept her face neutral. "That's a start. But words don't fix 6 years, Craig." "I know," he said, meeting her eyes. "I'm not asking for a redo. I just want him to know I'm sorry." She studied him, seeing the boy who'd walked away and the man now unraveling. "I'll give it to him," she said finally. "But this is his choice, not yours." When Micah came home, Tanya handed him the letter. He read it silently, his small face unreadable. Then he looked up. "Thank you for saying it," he said simply, folding the paper. "Can I keep this?" "Of course, buddy," Tanya said, her heart swelling with his quiet strength. That night, she called Eloise. Craig apologized. To Micah, in a letter. "I don't know what to feel." Eloise's voice was steady. "You don't have to feel anything. Micah's got you, and that's enough. Let Craig carry his own weight." Tanya nodded, tucking Micah's letter into the shoebox with Craig's old photo. It wasn't reunion, but it was a step toward understanding. Micah sat cross-legged on the living room floor, surrounded by crayons and paper. Tanya was grading papers, her laptop humming, when he slid 2 drawings across the table. "Mama, look." The first showed a broken tree, its branches jagged, labeled roots. The second was a thriving tree, full of leaves, labeled growth. In the corner, stick figures of Tanya and Micah stood hand in hand. Tanya's breath caught. "These are beautiful, Micah. What do they mean?" He pointed to the broken tree. "That's where we started. And this," he tapped the thriving one, "is us now. We grew anyway." She pulled him into a hug, tears pricking her eyes. "You're too smart, you know that?" He grinned. "You taught me, Mama." That evening, Tanya posted the drawings on Instagram with the caption, "Children always know. Roots and growth, our story." The post exploded, shared by parents, teachers, and strangers. Comments poured in. "This hit me hard. Your son's a poet." Tanya read them to Micah, who blushed but smiled. At school, Principal Diane pulled her aside. "That post is inspiring people, Tanya. You and Micah are a light." Tanya laughed softly. "He's the light. I'm just following." Diane squeezed her arm. "Don't sell yourself short. You're both unstoppable." Across town, Craig saw the post on his phone. He zoomed in on Micah's drawings, the words roots and growth cutting deeper than his own letter. Lauren leaned over. "They're doing okay without you, huh?" Craig swallowed hard. "Yeah. Better than okay." He saved the post, not liking or commenting. It wasn't his place to claim their story, but he couldn't look away from the truth in Micah's art. The auditorium was packed, the air buzzing with anticipation. Tanya stood backstage, her palms sweaty, nominated for Educator of the Year. Her students had submitted her name, their essays praising her for hearing them. Micah sat in the front row with Andre, his face glowing with pride. The MC called her name, and Tanya stepped into the spotlight, her heart pounding. "I wasn't supposed to make it," she began, her voice steady despite the nerves. "Single mom, broke, scared. But my son, Micah, made sure I did. He's my why. These kids," she gestured to her students, "they're my how. They remind me every day that showing up matters." The crowd stood, clapping, some wiping tears. Micah waved, his grin wide. Andre clapped loudest, his eyes shining. Tanya stepped off stage, her legs shaky, and Diane hugged her. "You earned this," Diane said. "Every bit." Later at home, Micah tackled her with a hug. "You're the best, Mama." Andre laughed, ruffling his hair. "She's a superstar, kid." Tanya blushed, waving them off. "It's just a plaque." "It's more than that," Andre said, his voice soft. "It's proof you're unstoppable." That night, Craig watched the speech on YouTube, uploaded by the school. Tanya's words echoed in his chest, her strength a mirror to his absence. He sat alone, tears falling, and for the first time, he didn't scroll away. He whispered, "I'm proud of you, Tanya," knowing she'd never hear it but feeling it all the same. Tanya tucked Micah in, the plaque on her nightstand. She looked at her son, asleep with a smile, and felt the weight of every sleepless night lift. "We made it," she whispered, her heart full. Tanya was folding laundry in the living room, the soft hum of a jazz playlist filling the small apartment. Micah, now 6, was sprawled on the floor, sketching a new spaceship design, his tongue poking out in concentration. The doorbell rang, and Tanya opened it to find Andre, his usual easy smile replaced by a nervous energy. He held a small velvet box, his hands fidgeting. "Hey, T," he said, his voice softer than usual. "Got a minute?" Tanya raised an eyebrow, wiping her hands on a dish towel. "You look like you're about to confess to a crime. What's up?" Andre chuckled, but it was shaky. He glanced at Micah, who was now watching them curiously. "Micah, you in on this?" Andre asked, winking. Micah grinned, scrambling to his feet and pulling a folded piece of paper from his pocket. "I helped." Tanya's heart skipped. "Helped with what?" Andre took a deep breath, stepping closer. "Tanya, you and Micah, you're my home. I've watched you build this life, strong and beautiful, through everything. I don't want to just be on the sidelines. I want to build with you, both of you." He opened the box, revealing a simple silver ring with a small sapphire, catching the light like a promise. Micah bounced, holding up his paper, a drawing of 3 stick figures holding hands, labeled Mama, me, Andre. "Say yes, Mama," he chirped. Tanya's eyes welled up, her throat tight. She looked at Andre, his steady gaze anchoring her. "You sure about this? Us? It's not exactly a fairy tale." Andre smiled, his voice low. "Fairy tales are overrated. I want the real stuff, your late-night grading sessions, Micah's spaceship obsession, all of it. I'm not here to save you, Tanya. You don't need that. I'm here because I love you, both of you." She laughed through tears, glancing at Micah, who was practically vibrating with excitement. "You planned this, didn't you?" she asked him. "Yup," Micah said proudly. "Andre said I'm the ring guy." Tanya knelt, pulling Micah into a hug. "You're the best guy, you know that?" She stood, facing Andre, her heart full. "Yes," she said, her voice steady. "Not because I need you, but because I want you with us." Andre slid the ring onto her finger, his hands warm and sure. Micah cheered, tackling them both in a hug that sent them laughing to the floor. Tanya held them close, feeling a lightness she hadn't known in years. This wasn't about erasing the past, it was about choosing a future. That night, Tanya called Eloise, her voice bubbling. Andre proposed. Micah was in on it. Can you believe it? Eloise laughed, warm and bright. That boy's got a heart bigger than the moon. And Andre. He's the real deal, Tanya. You deserve this. I'm still scared, Tanya admitted, glancing at the ring. But it's a good scared. Good scared builds good lives, Eloise said. Lean into it. Tanya hung up, tucking Micah into bed. He clutched his drawing, smiling sleepily. We're a team now, right, Mama? Always, she whispered, kissing his forehead. As she turned off the light, she felt the weight of her past. Craig, the struggles, the lonely nights, fade against the warmth of this moment. Across town, Craig scrolled through his phone, landing on a mutual friend's post, a photo of Tanya's ring, captioned "She said yes." His chest tightened, but he didn't look away. He closed the app, whispering to the empty room, "You deserve this, Tanya." The wedding plans were simple, a small ceremony at the park, with Micah as ring-bearer and Eloise officiating. Tanya was at the kitchen table, addressing invitations, when her phone buzzed with a text from Craig, heard about the engagement. "Congrats. Can I come to the wedding? I just want to support you and Micah." Tanya stared at the message, her pen frozen. Anger flared, then softened into something heavier. Pity, maybe. She stepped onto the balcony, dialing his number. Craig picked up on the first ring. "Tanya, thanks for calling. I meant it, Stop, she said, her voice calm but firm. Why do you want to come, Craig? Really? He hesitated, his breath audible. I see you guys moving on, and I'm happy for you. I just want to be there, to show I'm not that guy anymore. Tanya leaned against the railing, the night air cool on her skin. You don't get it, do you? This isn't about you proving anything. It's about Micah and me, our day. Your letter was a start, but you don't get to jump back into our lives because you feel guilty. Craig's voice cracked. I'm not trying to mess things up. I just thought, maybe it'd mean something to Micah. She closed her eyes, picturing Micah's drawing of their new family. I'll ask him, she said. But it's his call. The next morning, Tanya sat Micah down, keeping her tone light. Buddy, your dad asked if he could come to the wedding. What do you think? Micah frowned, twisting a crayon in his hands. He's not my family like you and Andre are. I don't want him there, Mama. Is that okay? Tanya's heart ached, but she nodded. It's more than okay. It's your day too. She texted Craig. Micah said no. Please respect that. Then she added, softer, thank you for your letter. It meant something to him. Craig replied hours later. I understand. I'll respect his choice. I'm sorry, Tanya. At the park, Tanya met Andre, who was setting up chairs for a rehearsal. She told him about Craig's request, her voice steady but tired. Andre listened, then pulled her close. Micah's got a good head on him. And you're the strongest person I know. She smiled, leaning into him. I just want this day to be ours. It will be, he said, kissing her forehead. No shadows, just us. That night, Tanya journaled, Micah said no to Craig, and it broke my heart a little, not for Craig, but for the kid who had to make that choice. But he's right. This is our family now, and we're enough. She closed the notebook, the ring on her finger catching the lamplight. Forgiveness wasn't an invitation. It was peace, and she was ready for it. Craig, alone in his apartment, reread Tanya's text. He didn't cry, but the weight of Micah's choice settled deep. He opened his laptop, drafting an email to his father, Levi. I'm trying to be better, Dad. I hope it's not too late. He hit send, feeling the first stirrings of accountability. The elementary school gymnasium was alive with chatter, balloons bobbing above rows of folding chairs. Micah's 6th grade graduation was a milestone Tanya had dreamed of through sleepless nights and endless sacrifices. She sat in the front row, Andre beside her, his hand warm in hers. Micah, in a tiny cap and gown, waved from the stage, his grin wide. The principal, Diane, introduced the student speakers, and Micah stepped to the microphone, his voice clear. "Some of us weren't born with the perfect family," he said, glancing at Tanya. "But we still became one. My mom taught me that love is showing up every day, no matter what." Tanya's eyes welled up, her heart swelling. Andre squeezed her hand, whispering, "He's all UT." The crowd erupted in applause, parents wiping tears, teachers nodding. Micah stepped off stage, running to Tanya and Andre, who enveloped him in a hug. "You killed it, buddy," Andre said, ruffling his hair. Micah grinned. "Did I make you cry, Mama?" "A little," Tanya laughed, wiping her eyes. "I'm so proud of you." Outside the gym, Craig stood by the fence, unnoticed. He'd seen the graduation announced on the school's website and driven over, unable to stay away. He watched through the chain link, Micah's speech echoing in his chest. The boy he'd abandoned was stronger, wiser, than he'd ever been. Craig's throat tightened, but he didn't approach. This wasn't his moment. Diane joined Tanya, handing her a program. "Your son's a star, Tanya. And you're the reason why." Tanya shook her head. "He's the reason. I just kept up." At home, Micah pinned his graduation certificate to the fridge, chattering about middle school. Tanya watched, her heart full. Andre pulled her aside, his voice low. "You two are unstoppable. I'm just lucky to be along for the ride." She smiled, leaning into him. "We're lucky you're here." That night, Tanya posted a photo of Micah in his cap and gown, captioned, "He showed up for me, and I'll always show up for him." The post spread, comments flooding in. "This is what family means." Craig saw it, his finger hovering over the like button. He didn't press it, but he saved the photo, a quiet acknowledgement of the life he'd missed. Tanya tucked Micah in, his graduation cap on his nightstand. "You made today special," she said, kissing his forehead. "You make every day special, Mama," he mumbled, half asleep. She closed his door, feeling the weight of their journey, every tear, every triumph, settle into something solid. They'd built a family, not from what was given, but from what they chose. Tanya sat at her kitchen table, a cup of chamomile tea cooling in her hands. The apartment was quiet, Micah asleep after a day of post-graduation celebrations. Her phone buzzed with a call from an unexpected number. Mr. Levi, Craig's father. She hesitated, memories of their park meeting years ago flickering in her mind. She answered, her voice cautious. "Mr. Levi, it's late." "I know, Tanya." "I'm sorry," Levi said, his gruff voice softer than she remembered. "I got a letter from Craig today. It made me think of you and Micah." Tanya leaned back, her guard up. "What did he say?" Levi sighed. "He's trying to be better. Said he's learning from his mistakes with you and Micah." It got me thinking about my own failures as a father. I pushed Craig too hard, image, success, all that. I want to thank you for letting me meet Micah, for giving me a chance to do one thing right. Tanya's throat tightened. She glanced at the shoebox on her shelf, holding Craig's letter and Micah's drawings. "I didn't do it for you or Craig," she said. "I did it for Micah. He deserves to know his roots, even the broken ones." "I get that," Levi said, his voice heavy. "You've raised a good kid, Tanya. Better than I ever did with Craig. I hope there's room for a grandfather who's still learning." She paused, weighing his words. "Micah likes you," she said finally. "He still talks about that watch you gave him. Come to his next birthday. Small steps, Mr. Levi." "Small steps," he repeated, a smile in his voice. "Thank you, Tanya." She hung up, her tea now cold. She walked to Micah's room, watching him sleep, his graduation cap on his nightstand. The pocket watch Levi gave him sat on his dresser, ticking softly. She whispered, "You're teaching us all, kid." Across town, Craig sat at his desk, rereading the letter he'd sent his father. "Dad, you tried to be better than your dad. I'm trying to be better than you. I hope it's not too late." He'd poured years of regret into those lines, each word a step toward accountability. He opened his laptop, pulling up Micah's graduation speech on YouTube. The boy's words, "Love is showing up," played on repeat in his mind. He didn't cry, but he felt the weight of every missed moment. The next morning, Tanya told Micah about Levi's call. "Your grandpa wants to come to your birthday," she said, pouring cereal. Micah's eyes lit up. "Can he bring the watch stories again? Those are cool." Tanya laughed, ruffling his hair. "Sure thing, buddy." She journaled later. Levi called. "He's trying, like Craig. I'm not sure what family means with them, but for Micah, I'll keep the door cracked. Not wide open, just enough for him to choose." The act of writing felt like closing a loop, not fully healed but no longer bleeding. Micah burst into the living room, his backpack slung over one shoulder, his face alight with excitement. "Mama, I got an idea," he announced, dropping a notebook on the table. Tanya looked up from her lesson plans, her glasses perched on her nose. "Lay it on me, kid," she said, smiling. Micah flipped open the notebook, revealing a messy sketch of a microphone and the words "Kids Like Me" podcast. "I want to make a show about kids with single parents," he said. "Like what it's like, you know. The good stuff and the hard stuff." Tanya's heart swelled. "Micah, that's incredible. Where'd this come from?" He shrugged, suddenly shy. "Your speech at the award thing. You said showing up matters. I want to show other kids they're not alone." She pulled him into a hug. "You're gonna change the world, you know that?" The next week, Tanya helped Micah set up a basic recording setup in her classroom after hours. Principal Diane, thrilled by the idea, offered school resources. "This could be big, Tanya," Diane said, adjusting a microphone. "He's got a voice people need to hear." The first episode featured Micah interviewing Tanya. He sat cross-legged on a chair, his voice serious. "Mama, what's the hardest thing about being a single mom?" Tanya took a breath, choosing honesty. "The nights when I didn't know how we'd make it, bills, school, all of it. But you, Micah, you made every hard day worth it." He nodded, scribbling a note. "And the best thing? Watching you grow into this kid who sees the world so clearly," she said, her voice catching. "You're my best thing." The podcast launched online, and within days, it spread like wildfire. Parents commented, "My daughter feels seen." Kids emailed Micah, sharing their stories. Tanya posted a clip on social media. "Micah's teaching us all. Listen to kids like me." It went viral, racking up thousands of shares. At school, Micah's classmates high-fived him. "You're famous," one shouted. Micah grinned but stayed humble. "It's not about me," he told Tanya later. "It's about us." Andre joined them for a recording session, offering to design a logo. "You're a pro, kid," he said, sketching a microphone with a heart. "This is gonna be huge." Tanya watched them, her heart full. "You're making a legacy, Micah," she said. He looked up, serious. "You started it, Mama. I'm just adding to it." That night, Craig stumbled on the podcast while scrolling. He listened to Micah's voice, steady and wise, and Tanya's, warm and honest. His chest ached, not with jealousy, but with awe. He sent an anonymous comment. "You're an inspiration, Micah. Keep going." It was small, but it was his way of showing up, even from a distance. Tanya was cleaning out a closet when she found the shoebox, dusty and tucked behind old textbooks. Inside was the college photo of her and Craig, laughing at a bonfire, their faces young and unburdened. She stared at it, the memory sharp but no longer painful. She wasn't that girl anymore. Micah poked his head in. "Whatcha looking at, Mama?" She held up the photo. "Just something old. Me and your dad, a long time ago." Micah studied it, his brow furrowed. "He looks happy there." Was he? "For a while," Tanya said, setting the photo down. "But happy doesn't always mean forever." Micah nodded, his wisdom quiet. "Can we throw it away?" Tanya smiled, a weight lifting. "Yeah, buddy. We can." They tossed the photo into the trash, not with anger but with release. Tanya felt lighter, like she'd shed a skin she no longer needed. She pulled out her phone, snapping a new photo. Her, Micah, and Andre at the park, laughing under a tree. She hung it on the wall, adding a caption in marker. Family isn't who's in the frame, it's who stays after the flash. Andre walked in, carrying takeout. New art? He asked, nodding at the photo. Yup, Tanya said, grinning. Our masterpiece. Micah chimed in. It's better than the old one. Andre laughed, setting the food down. You two are my favorite artists. So, what's the plan for this frame? More adventures. Always, Tanya said, pulling him close. But first, dinner. They ate, laughing over Micah's latest podcast idea, an episode about step-parents. Andre, you gotta be on it, Micah said, waving a fry. You're the best stepdad ever. Andre's eyes softened. I'm not stepdad yet, kid. But I'm all in. You already are, Micah said, matter of fact. You show up. Tanya's heart swelled, her eyes meeting Andre's. They didn't need words. Their family was built on actions, not promises. Across town, Craig sat in his apartment, scrolling through Tanya's social media. The new photo popped up, its caption hitting like a quiet truth. He saved it, not commenting, but letting it sit in his chest. He opened a journal, a new habit, and wrote, I wasn't in their frame, and that's okay. They're enough, and I'm learning to be. He closed it, feeling a small peace. Tanya tucked Micah in, the new photo glowing on the wall. You like it? She asked. It's us, he said, yawning. The real us. She kissed his forehead, turning off the light. Always, buddy. As she lay in bed, the ring on her finger caught the moonlight. She thought of the journey, Craig's absence, Levi's redemption, Andre's love, Micah's strength. Every step had led here, to a family chosen, not given. She closed her eyes, content. The frame was full.